The US dollar is falling amid concerns over the independence of the Federal Reserve. The Wall Street Journal says President Trump could name a replacement for Jerry Powell well before his term is up. Jay Powell's not the president's. Mr. Trump apparently has repeatedly criticized Powell for not lowering rates. There you see the way the currencies have moved. Mohamed El-Erian is the president of Queen's College at Cambridge University. He joins me. Gosh, there is too much for us to talk about tonight. We shall tackle it head on. First and foremost, what is driving this market higher in seeming against the headwinds of mediocre numbers and now the questions of perhaps a shadow Fed?
So you would have heard the saying, the market isn't the economy and the economy isn't the market. So market participants are focusing on the health of the corporate sector and a handful of companies in particular that are going from strength to strength. They are also making a very interesting distinction between corporate US, where there is enormous trust, and sovereign US, where there's concern about the dollar and there's concern about US treasuries.
The markets are not the economy and vice versa, but at some point they coalesce or collide. And I'm guessing that's the issue, if you will, the hangover of the market.
Correct. They will collide if the economy slips into recession. The Fed just lowered its growth projections from 1.7 to 1.4. 1.4 is good enough for the corporate sector. If, however, we get below 1, then you will start hearing that the economy can have and will have an impact on the market.
So why have I got this feeling, that there's something rotten out there, that there's something waiting to go wrong, that the market is overvalued, not justified on its current fundamentals, and therefore the smart money, like Buffett a few months ago, got out?
Correct. And, there are three drivers. And right now, 2 are telling you to be careful. 1 is telling you, stay in there. The first one that's telling you that to be careful is fundamentals. The economy is not weak, but it is weakening. The second thing that's telling you to be careful is the valuations levels. They are high. However, technicals, the willingness of people to put money in the market because they're not sure where else to go, is proving to be stronger than the first 2. And we often are in phases, Richard, where these technicals can take control of a market for a while. Ultimately, fundamentals assert themselves, valuations assert themselves. It can take time.
Where do you stand on this debate within the Fed? I mean, Chair Powell will not or does not want to find himself on the wrong side of his own FOMC. But with 2 members now breaking ranks, the chair still saying no reason to cut rates just yet. Where do you stand?
So I'll answer the policy question in a minute, but I am very worried about the politics. So first you mentioned 2 Republican-leaning central bankers who suddenly, almost out of nowhere, want July to be live, want the Fed to consider a cut in July. That came out of nowhere, and people asking, is that political? Second, you mentioned it, the possibility that President Trump appoints a Fed shadow chair, which undermines the authority of the current chair. And then, linking to policy, there's the concern that Chair Powell himself is now playing politics, that he wants to go down as the central banker who defended Fed independence and doesn't want to be seen cutting rates because of pressure from President Trump. So the risk here is that monetary policy will stay too tight for too long, Richard.
It's just impossible. I wish we were back to the old days. Sell in May and go away. I mean, no one can go on holiday at the moment with any... I remember your advice at the beginning of the last crisis, which is don't take any irrevocable decision. Don't do anything that you could live to regret. that you can't put right. That still is good advice. But I suggest it's become harder when valuations, I mean, one wants to be in this market.
Yeah, and many are. I understand. When the trend is your friend and other things, the market has been conditioned to fade any geopolitical shock, and it did. It bounced back so quickly from Israel's attack on Iran at a speed that no one expected, but it did. It bounced straight back up, let alone how quickly we've bounced back from what you were talking with Hannah, which is, of course, the Liberation Day announcement. This market, it has very favorable technicals for now.
And on that note, we'll say thank you, sir, and wish you a good weekend when we finally get there, and a good holiday when you finally take one. Thank you. Mohamed El-Erian.